Hey, what's going on, everybody? Boilon here, back for another video here on Marvel Strike Force. Today we have, I think we have a bit of a big one to talk about here today. I know that I'm a bit of a day late on the Overpower scene here. We need to talk about the blog and the Overpower and the consequences of what this is going to have on the player base, on the Xavier saga that's just, around the bend in like a week and a half, and why I think in some ways all of this could just be one giant trap. It could be pushing people to upgrade and level up their characters out of FOMO, I guess, more than they were considering it before. I want to talk about all that. We also have a little bit of data mines, which I'll start off the video with. So if you're ready to go, everybody, let's boil this down. Okay, so we'll just start things off here, right? So there's not a lot, but as you guys might have remembered, if you watched my video on the weekend, we talked about the new Sword Satellite, but they're calling it Sword Battle Lab, and that's coming back for next Monday for the new Mutants versus Zombies event, which is going to be a leaderboard event where you're going to be earning X coins, of course, Crimson Tech Gear. So I think that means that Tech Gear is probably on the leaderboard here. Gear Tier 20 and Scarlet Witch Zombie Diamonds. So there you go, because she is available in the Red Star store to buy, although there's very few people that probably have her at 7 yellow, so I don't know if the diamonds are really that relevant. But hey, if you're pushing the leaderboard, maybe you might get like 1 diamond. I mean, it will eventually cost dark diamonds if she even comes out as for diamonds within 2025. Who even knows? Because old man Logan still isn't even out, so there's that. This isn't super important. It wasn't that much in there, but anyways, the points for this event is war battles, opening another Daredevil, like this Diamond Orb was also available this event, right? Play Blitz battles. I don't know if that's a typo, but Blitz battles with Daredevil Modern 567 yellow, Silver Sable 567 yellow. So that means that she's going to be coming out next week. So she's most likely going to be in the blog on Friday. I don't know when she's going to be out, but they're giving points for her. So, and this one's quite interesting because apparently we're going back to spending power cores again. Could be a typo, subject to change. Sometimes data mines are subject to change, so you never know. But this could be interesting because this could give you some double dip value potentially if it is there for either coring for Daredevil or for Silver Sable, if that's something that you're interested in. Especially, it depends on what the point, how many points they're giving for power core, that kind of thing. If it's worth doing. But this could be a really good way for some players to jump ahead on a leaderboard event is by spending additional power cores, because the only way for free-to-play players to get ahead is going to be through spending power cores potentially, or through that's really it actually, because the other thing is or I guess doing well in Sword Tower. Now, Sword has had a leaderboard in the past. I don't like a mini leaderboard that kind of funnels into the main event. So I don't know if that's going to happen again. But we're going to be getting some special orb fragments from the Sword Tower or Sword Battle Lab or whatever. So that's going to be important as well. So Sword Tower, spending power cores, and playing War, which is obviously everyone can do. So the only change for free to play is really whether or not you're going to be giving up your power cores, I guess. We're going to see what kind of rewards there is from Sword Tower. There is going to be 10 more teams. If you guys caught my, wherever it was, my other one up here, there's going to be 60 floors, so 10 new floors. So that's going to be something to watch out for. So let's just jump on straight into things with the Overpower blog. I want to talk about this. It's really important, right? I'm not going to go through the entire thing, but I want to go over some of the things that I feel is a little bit more important, right? So if you guys have been under a rock, I don't really want to go over the whole what is Overpower, but it is essentially going to be giving a 50% damage boost for your character's progression, and that's going to be whether or not you're level 105, whether or not you're gear tier 20, and whether or not you're purple ISO 3 and beyond when they get there. There's something down below that's going to show us in more detail, but I want to kind of talk about this part here. Why Overpower? With so many layers of power progression, an unintended consequence has emerged. Character upgrades don't impact battles as much as they should. The hard-earned progress you make in leveling up, gearing, and enhancing ISO 8 doesn't always translate into meaningful advantages in combat. I think I can translate this as saying that, sorry, spenders, especially the big giant spenders, I think that there's some people in the community that are upset that their spending does not have as much value. That's what I've kind of gathered from this and this whole power fiasco over the last, I don't know, whenever they first mentioned it, because it really seems to me is that there's a lot of, there are some people who are, free to play players or play, that kind of thing, who have been pushing pretty hard in like Cosmic Crucible and have been able to climb that with very limited spending. What this is going to reward is going to be the people who kind of jump in early to progression systems. So people who upgrade their characters to gear 20 very early on or spend to do that, right? They're going to see the bonuses right away. So that kind of stuff there. To help restore the significance of your character progression, we've designed Overpower, a system that ensures your progression matters more in battle. This doesn't require extra purchases, right? So I want to kind of jump to key benefits. Restores the impact of character progression in battle. Unlocks new layers of strategy. It does not. Let me tell you, it is not unlocking any new layers of strategy. This is just whether or not you upgrade your characters or not, whether that's level 105 from spending gold and training modules or gear tier 20 because you spent early to get more characters upgraded to that level. It's not strategy. I guess I don't know what they're trying to pull here. Automatically scales as you continue to invest in your characters. Easier character progression as summarized into a single score. And so these are the overpower ranks. And what's more relevant to like us, those at the top, I guess it's going to be like, I would say from here onwards. So gear tier 19, right? So it's rank 8. This has to be done in order, by the way. You cannot do this out of order. So you can't do like gear tier 20 and you suddenly jump to rank 20, rank 11. You have to actually do this in order. So character level 100, and largely that's the case, but I just wanted to clarify that. So a level 100, and then you get gear tier 19, and then you get purple ISO 3 to get rank 9, and then you get level 105, and then you get gear tier 20, right? And I'm kind of hovering around here for a lot of my characters, right? Rank 8 or rank 9. For me, purple ISO is not really that big of a deal. I know that for some players it still is, for those that are chasing Odin. I don't really have a problem, though, when it comes to taking characters to gear tier 19 if I want to do that. There's only going to be a maximum gap of 1 rank at the start, but there will eventually be up to 3 ranks of overpower, and they do mention that. I think where a lot of us are going to be hovering around is going to be in this rank, or sorry, in 9, 10, 11. So I have a lot of characters that aren't 105, and this is a problem. And obviously, I have a lot of characters. I have almost nobody. I have nobody at gear tier 20. So there's going to be a lot of players with an advantage over me, especially the ones who are spending, because I'm more cautious when it comes to my resource usage. That I don't want to go ahead and blow all of this right away without knowing more things, especially with things like Xavier on the horizon, right? Which we're going to talk about here in a few minutes. Now they're talking about the different bonuses for overpower. Now, as far as I'm aware, the tier 1 bonus is the 50% damage. I think they got no 50% damage and 50% focus. No longer are they doing that sort of the speed thing where the mirror matches you'd win the mirror matches, because in some cases apparently it's bad to win mirror matches. So in that case, that's still gonna be there. And they kind of just describe the tier 2 and tier 3 bonuses without actually giving us more information. It just says it's going to be better than tier 1. It's going to feel strong in battle. Tier 2 bonus will be most commonly when one character is at max progression fighting an enemy that is behind in 2 areas. I mean, again, it's not really giving us any detail. Tier 3, the biggest bonus. This advantage will feel very powerful in battle. It won't overcome a bad match. We'll see, right? We don't know if how big this is going to be because they're not telling us. It'll make a difference in most battles. The attacker must be 3 progression ranks. Okay, so again, it's not really telling us that much other than 1, which is 50% damage and 50% focus. It's also going to eventually be in PvE, and that's a whole nother thing that I really don't like. That's eventually going to happen because it's going to. Where do they talk about that? I think they talked about it further down here. In the future, Overpower will expand to PvE game modes. My issue with this is that it's going to make raiding and doing other events a lot harder. Because if the enemies can overpower you, then that means that there's no longer any min-maxing that you could do in order to get this done. And I know there's a few content creators who like to do this kind of content where basically they will try to do an event, at the min-max, right? Like, how high do I need to take a character to get through it? Once Overpower comes to PvE, you're absolutely going to have to essentially max out a character more or less that you're using in an event. Otherwise, you risk being overpowered by the enemy. So this is an absolute shit show. It's probably gonna be a shit show once it launches for PvP, but then when it eventually launches for PvE, it's gonna absolutely be hell's gonna break loose. It's gonna be absolutely a disaster, in my opinion. I think this is just a terrible idea, but that's just me. It arrives on April the 7th, which is going to be on Monday. So Clench your butt cheeks for this because I don't think it's going to be very fun. But that's just me. Wait, are they giving? No, never mind. I thought they were giving away free rewards. Hey, Overpower's coming. Here's some free rewards. I just don't think it's a good idea, guys. Now you guys know that I'm not really. Oh yeah, it's in these modes, real time arena. That's really funny that they even mentioned that there. But Alliance War, Cosmic Crucible, and Arena. Where I think this is going to have the most impact is actually going to be in Cosmic Crucible. It's most likely going to have an impact in Arena, of course. But Cosmic Crucible, I think, is where it's going to have the most impact when it comes to free to play. And I have something that I want to share with you. I really wanted to show you guys this photo. It's a little. This was posted to my Discord server, anyways. So overpowered, free to play. The free to player cheering, Kraken, Scopely, whales beating up on the free to play, and then there's CTP, aka cheap to play, and then the dolphins just hiding around the corner because they're next. So I'm to be honest, I'm not actually. I haven't talked to a lot of whales, like medium spenders, who actually are happy with this either. So I'm actually at a small loss as to who this is really aimed at. Maybe it's just the Krakens and the Cthulhu's. This is kind of like top 500 spenders. I'm really not sure, why this is a good idea and why this is being released at a time where the population of the game is not doing so hot. I wanted to share this with you guys before we go any further. This is the leaderboard from The Legend Continues this past Monday when I did this before the event ended. It's not looking great. We've lost about 100,000 players in 1 year, essentially, from this time last year. And I just don't think that Overpower is suddenly going to make things better. If anything, I'm actually afraid that Overpower, both in PvP and eventually when it comes out to PvE, is going to drive people away even faster. But that's just my opinions because there are a lot of players who do actually like playing Marvel Strike Force in the free to play and cheap to play realm in Cosmic Crucible. Now, I haven't really been carrying. It's funny because I got 4 wins during my 32, my U32. I like Crucible, and I know a lot of other players who do like it a lot more than I do and who play it like quite religiously, and that's fine. But I think it's going to be very, very hard for players who are in that sort of free to play, cheap to play, low spender bracket, right? Who kind of push really hard in this. I think they're going to get absolutely stomped on by those who are spending, who are able to put G20 on all or 105, especially 105, like making sure every single PvP character is 105. That way you're already getting, every single character is getting that overpower rank. And if you don't have somebody at 105 that you're using in Cosmic Crucible, you're going to get stomped on, because I think that 50% damage is going to make a significant difference in Crucible, where it's not just coming down to win or loss, it comes down to the efficiency points, right? Where that 50% damage is going to make a huge difference, whether or not you're taking longer to kill them, or they're killing your characters all of a sudden, and the counters that you used to use don't work anymore because it didn't take into account overpower. And I actually feel really bad for those content creators who do focus a lot on PvP, who focus on Crucible content, because I do think that actually the overpower stats are going to make a difference when it comes to these kind of counter or videos talking about how to beat teams, because I think it's really going to need to take into account that, right? Especially those ones that are kind of more on a nice edge, where they can still win, but I think come overpower, it's going to be a lot harder to accomplish the same thing. That's just my thoughts. The other thing that I want to talk about is the potential trap relating to Professor X, right? That's going to be coming in about a week and a half's time. I wanted to end here a little bit and talk about this because I think that there's two things going on, right? We know that Overpower is going to be in PvP, but on the backdrop, we're also thinking about 105 and G20 for the Xavier saga, right? So in some cases, you can kind of double dip, right? There's going to be some characters that you can double dip and do this with. Some people have already gone ahead and done that. I have not, because I want to see how things unfold. I do not want to jump the gun on any of my G20 applications, anything like that. So Odin is something that a lot of people have done who performed well in those events, in the leaderboard events. Some other G20s I've seen is Null, wherever he is on my roster. I guess he's a bit further down here. I've seen some people apply and upgrade Null to G20 because they're using him in the arena. I've actually seen, for some reason, I've seen G20 applications to Blade already, even though I have some doubts about this in the Xavier saga. I think I spoke about this in my Daredevil video, because I do think you're going to want to have the full 5 vigilantes and not 3 plus Blade and Oath, like it was mentioned in the Scopely recommendations. So because of all these things, I could apply 20 to Thanos Endgame, right? I have a whole bunch of skill from the leaderboard now. But I'm just not prepared to do this because I want to see how this all unfolds. I want to see what ends up happening. I want to see the backlash. I want to see, what people are saying about it. And I think this could be a trap both to have people apply their G20 now or in preparation of Monday, and also go and blow all their gold and training mods to get everyone up to 105. I'll admit that I'm slowly building up my 105 right now for Vigilantes on Punisher and Elektra. I'm mainly still focused on PvE. So I have not gone around and blown my gold and training mods to get every single character that I use in Crucible and stuff up to 105. Am I going to get overpowered by the enemy? Probably, because you could see on my roster here that I have some 100s G19. I have a lot of 100 G19s, but I have not gone the extra mile here on 105 on all of these characters, which means that if I face anyone that has done as well, I am automatically going to, be quote unquote overpowered by the enemy. So you can see that I still have a lot of level 100s in my roster. I am in no particular rush, though. I would encourage people not to bite into the FOMO. I think that if you are a PvE focused player like me, or you care a lot about PvE, let's put it that way, and you care about the Xavier unlock, I would caution a little bit in terms of not wasting your resources, because at the end of the day, we don't know, what the Xavier nodes are going to look like. We don't know what kind of rewards might be on the nodes that might be relevant as well. Are we going to get some returns on G20? Are we going to be, we could do the Nimrod stuff pretty much out of the gate. Are we going to be able to do the Gladiator stuff? No. Do we have to do this in order? I think so. But this is where we're going to get stuck on, and what characters are going to be the best for this. We won't really know until all of this comes out. So I don't think it's a good idea to suddenly start equip. Even Lalandra, who, yes, is required for the Xavier saga, I just don't think it's necessary to G20 her right now. Like, is it going to break your gameplay? I don't think so, for having her at G20. Is she going to hit a bit harder in PvP? Sure. But I mean, I just don't think it's, because she's like at the very end, it's not really a high priority for me, in my opinion, because I want to see what we get out of doing this in order. What am I going to get out of the city section here as far as rewards go that are going to make me want to get that done a little bit earlier, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. More stuff to talk about in the days and weeks ahead, I am sure, and especially come Monday when Overpower becomes a reality. But again, I just want to say on the record that I don't think this is a good thing. I think given the state of the game and the player base and stuff and population, I have not seen a single thread or major comment in favor of this Overpower system. I am flabbergasted. I don't know why I chose that word. Over why they've decided to push this through despite all of the opposition. But maybe, I don't know, maybe Marvel Strikes Force is in its death throes. They're trying to gouge players for all their money before something major happens. This is not something that I would expect from a game company that is doing well, and it seems like a cheap cash grab to try and push people to buy offers to upgrade their characters to G20 ASAP. And then, of course, when Purple 4 and 5 comes out, that's going to convince people to do that there as well, because that's going to be associated with another Overpower rank as well later on this year. So that's it for me anyways. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Please give me your genuine thoughts about Overpower. You know what? If you actually like or enjoy Overpower, or you think it's going to be good, let me know that too, because I would be interested to know what your thoughts are, to be honest. So that's it for me. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and you'll be greatly helping out the channel. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the next one.